tried to ring up car dealerships as Jeremy Clarkson, and I got one bit of video, but I'm not joking. I'm giving away the magic of showbiz now, but I literally rang probably 5 or 6 where they just went, yeah, all right, or and just didn't just put the phone down. So, but the 6th one, you know, we had a conversation. I think I said, I'm going to be in the area. I was ringing up a supercar. I know nothing about cars. And I rang up supercar showrooms.
But, you know, when you went on to that stage, you know, to do your audition on Britain's Got Talent in front of, you know, big high profile celebrities such as Mr. Nasty himself, what was going through your mind, you know, in front of all those people? I mean, did you think it would go as well as it did?
Are we allowed to swear on your podcast?
Go for it, my friend.
I was shitting it because I wasn't a performer, and you get comedians on there and magicians and whatever that have literally been doing it for years. That's what they do. But I had no experience as a stand-up comedian. I had to go out and do a few you know, sets to get the practice in, and I was so nervous. So I cannot tell you how nervous I was. But then, you know, I got a standing ovation, and Simon Cowell said some really nice things. And then, you know, it's weird because when you're on stage, you get a laugh and you get another laugh, and then your confidence rockets, and it's like you're flying. It's that was probably the best experience on a stage ever. It was just, yeah, it was an incredible feeling.
Did the audience help with that? You know, as you mentioned, it feels like going on a rocket ship. Does, you know, the support and the cheering of the audience really help you and motivate you to, you know, just keep going?
Well, fundamentally, you're there to make people laugh. You know, you don't want people going, oh, that's a very good Boris Johnson. Yes, well done, well done. You don't want that. You want people to laugh. So if they don't laugh, you know, fundamentally there's something wrong. You know, either your voices aren't good as an impressionist, or the material's not good. So as soon as you get that laugh, and then another one, you're just like, oh my God, it's amazing. It still blows my mind, and you know, it's still an incredible feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Ant and Dec, we're watching you do, of course, your performance. When you started impersonating them, I mean, were you thinking that if you turn your head sideways, Dec was just staring you right in the face?
I think I can't remember. I think I did turn my head when I was doing Declan Donnelly. That's right. Yeah, you know, cheeky little grin, waggle of the jaw. That's right. And my aunt's got better. I didn't really do him, but oh, that's right. He's got this sort of thing that you can't see. There's a podcast with his teeth. Oh, that's right, Dec. Oh, it's got better. It's got better.
So before you actually went on stage, what was your planning process like? Like choosing exactly who you're going to impersonate? Was it the kind of the chance of doing people that you already had experience doing, or were there any impressions like Ant and Dec or Gok One that you had never done before and you thought, okay, I'm going to try it out for the first time on stage in front of tens of thousands of people?
Well, yeah, 11 million, I think, for the semi-final. It was insane. I think I chose my strongest ones, and I knew the audience. You see, if you go on Britain's Got Talent, you understand that you've got 7-year-olds and 6-year-olds right up to, you know, 85-year-olds. You know, it's right across the board. It's prime time,
very diverse,
light entertainment. So you know, I did a cruise after BGT, and it was to an elderly demographic, and I was doing Dara O'Brien and David Mitchell, and in all honesty, I absolutely bombed because my material was completely wrong. So I knew that if I stuck to Alan Sugar, Gordon Ramsay, Boris Johnson, David Attenborough, just household favorites, everyone would know them, you know. And then, of course, you have to do Ant and Dec because they're there. It's, you know, and you know you're going to get laughs from that. So
I wish you did a Simon Cowell impression. That would
sort of do now, really. Look, I like you, Callum, you know, but this podcast, it's dreadful. It really, I mean, but I like you. It's a no from me, you know.
You can think how he would have reacted to that if you would have done it back then.
Got to do the eyes as well, you know. Look.
But you raised a very interesting point when you said about when you're on that cruise ship and you bomb because you chose the wrong material. Is it very important for a comedian to get it spot on, to realizing they have to pick the right material?
I mean, it's got to be funny. I'm learning, all the time. And I was chatting to my manager the other day, and I was saying, we were talking about having a club set, which is more. God, that's a big click from my mouth to do, but you can edit that out. A club set, which is more, adult orientated. It's more crude or more swears. But if you're booked to do a corporate or a wedding and there's children running around, then you've got to have another set and that in your bag where you can't be effing and blinding and talking about, adult material. So yeah, it's know your audience, definitely.
But what kind of audience do you feel more in your element with? Do you feel more at home when you're, in front of children, or when you're in front more of, older
Adults? Yeah, I mean, I'm not a blue comedian. I'm not Bernard Manning or Frankie Boyle for sure. But I mean, there is a few choice themes and the odd word. For example, I can't do Gordon Ramsay without swearing, because when you watch him
That's what
on
makes
his,
Gordon Ramsay. Yeah.
yeah, and also it's like a sort of punch, when you go, hey, big boy, look at me, that salmon was fucking raw, and it just feels so satisfying and natural to do that.
For somebody that tries to own their craft in doing celebrity impressions, what is the key to learning? Do you have to analyze those celebrities on TV? What is the key to making a perfect celebrity impression?
You've got to get the voice. It's a combination. When I say the voice, I mean just not the voice, the pitch, the register, if there's the melody in there.
Voice of the
If
X
there's, for
Factor.
example, Joe Brand always talks like this. Da, 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 da. If you're doing Joe Brand, you have to go down at the end. The rhythm of it, the phrasing, and then the mannerisms. So, if when I do Gordon, then I have to do, even if an advert comes in, a radio ad or something, or they want me to be Gordon Ramsay, or Boris Johnson, the politician's thumb, and it all helps sort of to encapsulate the characters and the voices.
If I was the producers of the X Factor, I would kick Peter Dixon out and replace him with you, Darren. Because
Ladies and gentlemen, the double discount sale at SCS.
that is brilliant. So going all the way back to your childhood, I mean, what started, your love and passion for the industry you want to get into? Were there any inspirations that you really looked up to and can always credit for your successes?
Well, I was a drummer for years. I came into voiceovers very late, but I was that guy that always did impressions, taking the mickey out of teachers and friends and people on TV. But I studied jazz at Leeds College of Music and the Guildhall School and Trinity, and I was drumming for years. But I've always been able to, I think it's probably having a musical ear, so you can sort of hear where things sit and also feel it in the throat. So I've always had that let's say ability, if you like, to do voices. And in answer to your question, I used to watch Spitting Image when I was young, the first series when it came. People like Chris Barry, Alistair McGowan was great, Phil Cool. So yeah, impressionist when I was growing up.
I mean,
Rory Bremner, of course.
What really was the critical change from drumming to doing impressions and comedy? What was that critical change? What made you change your mind? Because it seems you were, of course, really into drumming. I mean, what was that critical point of you thinking, this isn't really what I want to do, even after all those years of studying that you did to become a drummer?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, I was very successful. I was playing at Ronnie Scott's and recording albums at Abbey Road and gigging and touring. And but for some reason, I don't know why, I made a very crude voiceover demo, a reel, I think even on GarageBand on the Mac or something, and I put it together. And for some reason, I lo and behold, I got an agent, my first agent, and quite quickly I was doing computer games and TV commercials and all different sort of stuff. And it wasn't necessarily a conscious decision, but I started learning and I started studying and I bought the equipment and I started getting more and more work. and it was just it's sort of by osmosis. And suddenly, I was still gigging. Don't get me wrong, I was still gigging, but then Britain's Got Talent happened, and that people sort of knew me with social media for the impressions and the voices, and now I am gigging, but as and when, really. It's not my main focus. It's not my main job. The voiceovers are the main thing. But yeah, it was a gradual transition, really.
It's great to hear that you have not lost, your passion and flair for drumming.
Do you know, I've got a gig on Sunday, believe it or not, and it's the first one, proper gig where I have to, read music and play for, wow, 2 years, something like that.
That is crazy.
It's gotta be. Yeah.
So
no pressure.
no pressure at all. I mean, I'm rooting for you. But let's go into TikTok now. So Darren, what attracted you to TikTok? What was the drive to joining the app? We all know it's obviously one of the most popular apps today. Thank you, China, for inventing it. But I mean, what drew you to TikTok?
I was told about it only a couple of years ago. I think I was having a chat with some voiceover friends, and we were talking about social media marketing, and I said, about Twitter, and I wasn't really on Instagram. And someone told me about, have you heard about this new thing called TikTok? And I logged on. I was like, bloody hell, wow. So I think I put a couple of posts up, and the first few did well, and now, yeah. I mean, I haven't got millions of followers. I mean, I've seen some of the guests you have on, and they've got, like, some of them have got a few million. It's insane. I've got, I think, 115,000. But certainly I've had videos that have got like 2.5 million views, 1.7 million. It's a combination of things. I do lots of different things on TikTok, and some things fly and they take off and others don't, and there's sort of no rhyme nor reason for it. I try and post in the evenings now, like after 8, half 8, where I think, from the insights, where it is a word, my demographic will be listening, and watching. So like I said, some things take hold and they just get shared. I heard the stories with your pool guy when he was on. Your phone literally just doesn't stop pinging, and you can't, hundreds and thousands of followers, and some don't. They just don't take off.
That's the actual beautiful thing about TikTok, is the fact that some things do explode and some things don't. It's the luck of the draw, isn't it? But does that amaze you, Darren, at the fact that some content creators who do the most out of the box things, like Miles, the pool guy, does, of just cleaning people's pools, and now he's cleaning footballers and Stacey Solomon's pool, does it amaze you at the fact how somebody can get famous on that app for doing the most random things?
Well, Miles is quite clever, whether it was conscious or no, it was conscious, because he said on his interview that he created a channel specifically for his pool stuff. So believe it or not, the more niche you are and the more you sort of can drill down into something, it sort of works conversely. There's a chance that you'll get a bigger following because it's so specialized. I mean, I've sat and watched his videos, and before you know it, you've watched him clean 10 pools, it's ridiculous. But like you say, the way he edits it, the way it's presented, it's really simple. There's no camera trickery. And yeah, you'll get people. There's a chef that's just doing a month of recipes every day on potatoes, and she gets thousands. It's amazing, the niche things that just fly. And I think it's the same with my voiceovers. I'll record a session, like a 30-second radio ad, and people aren't used to seeing it. It's completely novel. Yeah.
When you first joined, who were the influencers that you checked out before you started releasing your own content? Who did you really take to that was out there at the time when you joined?
I didn't really take to anyone, Callum. I didn't have a clue about the app. I just sort of saw what was going on, and then just sort of started filming stuff. Oh, there was a guy that I thought he was had a good personality. He's called Temptation or something. He's a fitness coach, and he does shirtless. He does recipes, and he's into his health and fitness. He was a cool guy. I watched him for a while. Yeah.
You should just call him the cool guy now.
Yeah, the cool guy. Yeah.
The cool guy.
But no, I didn't really, latch on to anyone per se. Yeah.
But you can see the benefits of that For You page on TikTok, where you can just scroll through and see the diversity. It's beneficial. It's got something like that compared to, other social media apps like
Well,
Facebook
when
and
you
Instagram.
when people talk about TikTok and ask me about it, that that maybe they're not on the app, I say, you have to trawl through a lot of crap, or girls doing all the trends and what have you, which is fine, but there are some amazing like artists, but by that I mean painters, calligraphy artists, singers, chefs, you name it, as well as all your clips and your memes and all that stuff. There are people with real talent. There's a young ventriloquist and he's amazing. Have you seen it? What's his name? We follow each other. He's a young guy and he's incredible, ventriloquist. And yeah, you're right. It's unbelievable. So the chefs, people in Turkey making ridiculous ice creams or whatever you want, it's on there. It's bizarre.
I mean, Gordon's on there as well, which is a
Of course
benefit.
he is. I've duetted with people as Gordon. Yeah, I put on my blonde wig and put a tea towel over my shoulder and go, "What are you doing? Fuck me! It looks like someone's run over a cat," and do all that,
So tell me about the process when you released your very first skit. What was your intention to show? Obviously, people have seen you before on Britain's Got Talent and of course on the circuit. But what did you want to show in that very first skit? And what was your reception to what people thought about that very first skit that you released?
Do you know, I wish you'd have asked me before because I can't remember what it is. I think I did a video like announcing, not announcing, but saying, "Hi guys, it's Darren here. I'm on TikTok. Nice to see you." Something stupid like that. And then I thought, well, I better do something here. So all the way through lockdown, I will say I did a daily Boris update where I put on my suit and tie and my Boris wig. And every day throughout, when coronavirus, we were properly locked down. So I did a daily Boris thing. But apart from that, I think it was just lots of impressions. And a lot of it was me drunk at the end of the night because I wasn't confident enough to do it in the day. So I'd just get hammered and then put a video of something up. But it's sort of, I do a whole load of, have you seen the video of me with the blonde wig and all of
Yeah,
that?
I've seen one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
That... But speaking of coronavirus, I wanted to bring that up. As a comedian, how has your industry fared during that pandemic? I mean, how has it been for you? Obviously, it must have been tough not being able to get up on stage and doing the things that you like to do because of that rampaging virus. But how has it been for you?
Well, gigs stopped clearly because there were no pubs and no clubs. So we're just getting back into going out and doing stand-up. But I'm very lucky with my day-to-day work, my voiceovers. I'm talking to you from my studio now, and thankfully I've been very lucky. It's been fine. We sort of carried on. Yeah, the work has got did get a lot quieter. But I'm in a very privileged position that I could just carry on working from home. But yeah, as far as performing, and don't forget all my musician friends and performers who are like all their West End shows were canned. Feel sorry for them and all the jazzers that were out playing, in clubs. They've had nothing.
How do you think this is going to change stand-up comedy going forward?
I think people will appreciate it more, certainly. Comedians were doing a lot of Zoom gigs where you to varying degrees of success. Sometimes you can see everyone, in all the little boxes, and sometimes when I did a corporate where I said, "Will I be able to see the audience?" And he said no. Anyway, I could hear the guy sort of introduce me, "Ladies and gentlemen, Darren Altman," and the screen went blank, and I'd have to do 10 minutes to my webcam with nothing in front of me. And I said, "Oh, thank you very much. I've been Darren Altman. I hope you enjoy it. Good night." And I think I put my head in my hands and thought, "Fuck me, what was that about?"
I just could not. You mean, you mentioned you did a few Zoom gigs, but how did that differ to doing, live in front of people gigs? It must have been a whole different environment.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, like I said, a couple of them were all right, but some of them were just, yeah, it's different. It's nice being on a stage, seeing people. That's a kick.
So, Darren, one of my final questions, tell me about some of the opportunities that you received from, Britain's Got Talent that in some aspects has changed your life.
Well, I mean, listen, I don't consider myself famous at all because I'm not, it's sort of 15 minutes of fame stuff really. But I mean, I did pantomime, which was good fun. And I've now got a manager. So I do corporates and host events and award ceremonies. and stand up and perform. So, it's good, it's fine, and it's done my voiceover career the world of good.
And that's all
So I've
that
got
matters, isn't it?
yeah, so but I'm not a household name.
Well, give it 5 years, you will be, or even 1 year or 2. No, but do you think that's the best thing about the industry of the arts, is that you never know what can happen, and that's the thing about TikTok as well, is that you could do one skit that completely explodes. It's the world of the unexpected when it comes to the arts. You just don't know. You could lift off tomorrow. It's so unexpected, this industry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't do these things to necessarily become famous, but I mean, certainly, social media stars, people are household names that were just from. I mean, look at what's his face. People like KSI. I don't know. I didn't really watch his videos per se, but I mean, was he just vlogging and just doing his daily life? I don't know what he was up to.
That's exactly what he was doing, and then he ended up fighting Logan Paul and whipping his ass.
Yeah, in the and it was on in the O2, pay-per-view. It was on 5 Live. I mean, it was huge. And I've just read he's starting up his own sporting entertainment agency, where maybe I think he thinks, oh, we've got a trick here. I mean, good luck to him.